Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. This week I'm turning a maple log into a vase. You just saw me drill a hole for the woodworm screw, and here I have it on the woodworm screw with the tailstock up, and I'm using a Jimmy Clues mate tool to start turning. It was obviously, as you can see, very out of balance. So it was very slow going, and this tool in particular helped to get a lot of the material off quickly, or as quickly as possible on something like this. Here I've switched to the Carter and Son bowl gouge. Once it got into a little bit more balance, it's not totally in balance here, I could get some cleaner cuts with this bowl gouge. So as you can see, when the lathe stopped there a second ago, there is a large kind of flat space void in the log, and that was on purpose, and you'll see why in a minute or two. Here I have the skew chisel, and I'm making a tenon so I can put it in the 4-jaw chuck. Here I'm using some tuck tape, and I'm going to be using some resin, some Total Boat, to fill in that void. This is epoxy pigment, and the color is Parrot, and I will link everything that I use in the video description if you're interested. This was a color I hadn't used before, and I quite liked it. So once the resin and the pigment is thoroughly mixed, I pour it into the mold, or the dam, I guess, if you will, that I made. And you didn't see it, or you might have noticed it on there, but I didn't film it. I used some hot glue to kind of make a dam, and then I put this tuck tape around it. I let the first pour almost cure before I did this pour with a little bit more of the Parrot, and then I mixed up some cobalt blue. And the nice thing about pouring it like this, which for this particular project, is that I could tilt it because it was still on the lathe, depending on where I wanted the resin to go. As you could see right there, it's quite a mess. When I saw it, I was like, what did I do? Very, very out of balance. I had a tough time turning it. And it's out of balance on purpose because I didn't want to round over the resin and make it sort of be part of the log. I mean, it's part of the log, part of the vase, but I really wanted it to be noticed that it isn't part of the log, if you will, that, it's a flat spot. And usually when you're turning something, everything is round. So this was challenging in the realm of, it wasn't round all the way. I was turning it air pretty much 100% of the time, and trying to incorporate the resin, because the resin was on a flat area, was very difficult at times. Definitely had to use a lot of patience. So I use various tools on this one. Generally, I stick to just the Carter and Son bowl gouge. I used various easy wood tools. This one here is the round negative rate carbide cutter on the mid-size tool. Also used the skew chisel, easy wood tools #1 hollower, the Jimmy Clues mate tool, and just a variety of tools, because this one was challenging, and I needed all the help that I could get. Here what I'm doing is taking off some material from the top. I decided to shorten the vase. It was just too much. And here I'm using a saw to part off that, and then I will continue on with the bowl gouge. And now that it's a little bit more in balance, I'm able to pull the tailstock back up and make it true it up here on the side, on the outside. And at this point it was really starting to come together and be a little bit easier, although, you know, obviously there's still air that I'm turning. But it was starting to come together here and I was happy. Here I'm making the curve on the bottom of the vase, going for a simple shape with a curve on the bottom and a slight outward turn up at the top. Simple shape, simple design. I didn't want the shape to take away from the maple or the resin. I wanted those two to flow together as well as they could. Using a Forstner bit here to hog out some of the material in the middle of the vase. This helped a lot. I don't have a steady rest, so getting out as much as material as possible here was very important. Used a ruler there to measure how far down the Forstner bit was able to get. I was pretty happy with that. I didn't want to go all the way to the bottom because I wanted some weight on the bottom. And starting here to hollow out the rest of the vase with a bowl gouge, although I do switch between tools here as well. So a variety of sanding techniques used here. There was some power sanding and lots of hand sanding, especially up top here to get the nice soft curve outward on top of the vase. Using some denatured alcohol here to clean the surface before applying some sanding sealer. So if you notice that little dip in the resin, that little curve, almost looks like a place to put your mouth to drink something. I did not do that intentionally. I believe it happened when I was sanding. The heat just, where the resin was thin, just sort of melted it down there. I wasn't upset with that. I think it looks fine. Here I'm starting with the Axe products. This is the Axe abrasive paste. So putting that on and rubbing it in really well, and then turning the lathe on and buffing it off. If you're interested in the Axe products, there is a discount code. It was on the screen there a minute ago, as well as in the video description. Use code PF10. You go to axewoodpaste.com and you can get 10% off your order. Made in the USA. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I use Axe in pretty much all of my projects. Next, on to the Axe polishing paste, which is one of my favorite times in turning, because it really brings out the sheen in the piece. So parting it off here, and then I'll put my branding iron logo on the bottom and call it good. There'll be some photos here at the end, so stick around and check those out. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button. It helps me out. And until next time, peace out. Photos coming up.